Well, Carl Kolchak, due to the bad luck on the case of his boss Vincenzo, managed to get a ticket on a cruise ship. So, finagled that deal. Of course, had to make it as if it was part of the job, because that's what Vincenzo was doing. He was saying, oh, it's actually not a vacation, because it turns out he hasn't had a vacation in years, and he was trying to get this, so he finagled it to where, oh, I'll be working and doing a write-up on the cruise and all that. And in this particular ship, it was a particular old ship, and this was going to be its final voyage, which sounds rather ominous. And as it would be for the purposes of the show, there was plenty to be ominous about, but the ship survives, so don't worry. Well, it completes its cruise and then goes off to the scrapyard. But anyway, well, something came up. Vincenzo couldn't make it, so Kolchak managed to leap in and get his shot to have a cruise. Yeah, so he gets on there and ends up having to share a room with some playboy guy, and he's got his girlfriend, and but they're more interested in each other. But the girlfriend has a lady friend that she wants to introduce Kolchak to, who wasn't all that bad, you know. I mean, you could do far worse, but you know, it's not going anywhere. But anyway, she becomes the main a female companion for Kolchak in this adventure, which you would think, well, what's the adventure? I mean, sure, he's on a cruise ship, and what's going to go on? Was there a sea monster or something? Well, no. As you could tell by the title, The Werewolf, yes, there was a werewolf aboard the ship. Now, this werewolf is, well, I guess he was trying to get somewhere. Turns out he had a job with NATO, and something of that nature, but ran across another werewolf, I suppose, and this is going with the lore that if you're bitten by a werewolf and you survive the attack, you yourself become a werewolf. Now, this is a Hollywood invention. Of course, the original old folklore is much different. It often had to do with the devil and stuff like that, and people choosing to be able to turn into a wolf and that sort of thing. Well, here, of course, it's more of the, I don't want to turn into a wolf, but you can't do anything about it. So, it's pretty quick to give you the nod as to who the werewolf is. It's Victor Newman from Young and the Restless, played by Eric Braeden, and he shows up, and he's pestering the doctor, wanting drugs to knock him out so that he can't, you know, even if he turns into the wolf, he won't leave his room and attack people and eat them and what have you. Also tries to chain himself to the bed and all that, but when he becomes the werewolf, he's supernaturally strong, and so that didn't work out either. So something's afoot, or paw, and Kolchak said, oh, there's something going on here. And so he sticks his nose into it, immediately pisses off the staff, including the captain, tries to impersonate the captain's son, just getting himself in all kinds of trouble, and quickly begins to realize, hey, there's a werewolf on board, you know, and it's the same scenario where the authorities, well, in this case, don't want to panic everybody, that there's, at least at the outset, they feel that there's a maniac on board attacking people, and they keep cornering him, but they can't catch him or take him down because he's so much more, you know, powerful than they are. And so there's a couple of series of fights and whatnot, very similar to the earlier, you know, the vampire episodes and stuff like that, and the immortal guy who was super strong and so on and so forth, and the police couldn't stop it. Same thing here with the security staff of the ship. And so after a while, it gets harder and harder to hide that there's something wrong and going on. But ultimately, Kolchak delves into some research to figure out, hey, what's the deal how do you fight werewolves? And I think it's the lady friend who comes up with, well, silver or something like that. And he says, oh yeah, so he's got to steal the silver buttons from the captain's uniform, melt those down to plate the bullets. Yes, all this is readily available. Look, they explain it. There's an engineer on board who has tools and stuff, so he's able to cobble that. And I'm forgetting where the gun came from, but he got it. And off he goes, chasing down the werewolf, shoots him several times before the final one really gets him, before the wolf takes him down. And the werewolf goes overboard. So no one really cared to say, wolf man overboard. No, they just let him go. And, of course, supernatural being. But the silver did penetrate him, so I'm guessing he probably drowned at sea. And, of course, the ship denies it. There's really not a shred of any evidence for Kolchak to make his claim. Threatened once again if he breathes a word of it. So he's left sitting on his luggage at the port, recording it into his, taped diary, I suppose. And once again, left the only one who really, well, maybe a few others realize what happened. But no one will ever believe him that he saved an entire cruise line. Well, most of them anyway. From a werewolf attack. Yeah. Man, it's good there's some silver around to grab and make your bullets, but hey, look, what else was he supposed to do? I suppose he could have fashioned some sort of weapon, but that would have been pretty gory for the time, I suppose. I mean, shooting a man is one thing, but stabbing him repeatedly with a silver-tipped spear that he could have fashioned with, I don't know, the silverware or something. And maybe that would have worked to fight the werewolf. But it's a fun romp, and of course, what carries the show is its own unique style of charm that it has in Darren McGavin's performance, and it is repetitive, which normally can be death to a show. But if you can do it in a charming way, and here they just like, hey, look, we changed the venue. They're on a cruise ship. There's been horror movies of settings on cruise ships. I'm forgetting which. I think there's been a couple where they come upon a cruise ship that appears out of nowhere, and of course it's a haunted ship. The ship itself is a ghost ship and that sort of thing. But I always thought a zombie movie on a cruise ship would make a good premise. Had an idea for it myself. Ended up abandoning it. Because really the only good ending for it is, your main heroes or what have you survive the zombie attack on the ship. And by the time the ship makes it back to the mainland, you discover, the entire United States is overrun with zombies, which is similar to the, the Dawn of the Dead remake that Zack Snyder did, At the end, they escape. You think, oh, good, they're safe now. And now the island they get to is, yes, overrun with zombies. So, whoops. But, so I can't think of any other ending to do it that way. Unless they escaped on a lifeboat and there was some radio message on the ship saying, we're overrun with this or whatever, but ultimately it's just that's all it is. You're on the ship and you're being chased by the zombies, and one by one most of the cast is dead or turned or what have you. Here, very simple. There's a werewolf stalking the place, and of all the choices of travel, I maybe it did. I don't think it explained it. Why didn't he just hop a plane? He would have gotten to where he was going much quicker, and would have avoided turning into a wolf and killing all those people, Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe it was just enough silver where it didn't kill him and it cured him of the werewolfism, and he swam back to shore, took on the name Victor Newman, and became a big time what was the industry? He just said Newman Industries. I don't know. I know he bought Jabot Cosmetic from out from under Jack Abbott and Young and the Restless. So that was a cosmetic company that I don't know. So I guess that's what he did in between, the Foreman project and a stint on the $6 Million Man. So yeah, so maybe it worked out for him after all. But anyway, had fun with the episode. If you haven't seen it, check it out, especially if you like werewolves, because there's a werewolf in this episode called The Werewolf.